Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. On the bench is a Ness 5 Plus. So Ness Entity, not sure, System 5 Plus. Alright, so we've got the four isolating switches here, so I'm guessing it's going to be a 4-zone. Can clearly tell it is an alarm system. We've got Zone 1 seal alarm, Zone 2 seal alarm, Zone 3 seal alarm, Zone 4 seal alarm. And looking here, mains on, power on, voltage normal, 24-hour alarm zone. So Zone 5 is the 24-hour ones, so for your smoke alarms and stuff like that. And I like this bit here because it's telling me everything's going to be cool. It didn't come with a key, but I do have a key over here, same type of Alpha 9 key. I think we're out of luck there. We're out of luck. That's okay. And I have another little key that's been sitting on the bench, RC6. Any luck? Oh yeah, a bit of luck. Probably make that work. You got your LF cam lock on the front here, no number on the front, but looking at it 014. Cool. Popping it open. Okay, no spiders, no rats, no mice. 1987, installed 1987. That was a good year. That was around about the time Australia won the America's Cup. You've got your tamper, box tamper on the back. So that is basically just a button where it's pushed in, and as soon as it gets removed off the wall, bang, that will send the alarm system into an alarm condition. Let's look at it this way. I think this is probably the best way. Alright, delay. So when you set the alarm, you've got so much time before the sensors will start activating and saying, hey, we're going off. So all the sensors, basically, apart from the 24-hour sensors, will no longer be able to trigger an alarm until the delay is finished. That's what the delay is. Reset, minimum, maximum. Not sure. Reset, I don't know why they call it reset. Sensitivity, so that's how sensitive the sensors and stuff are, so you can turn it high, low, and sound. So this, if you watched our other video on the NIDAC alarm system, that's having pretty much the same kind of controls. You've got your delay, your entry, which that could be, your sensitivity, and your sound. All four of them were accessed in that panel as well. They also had the same isolating switches on the front, so that's interesting. This panel is looking to be a little bit more sophisticated because you've got your cable on the front, and we've got these plugs here, so we can just plug these in so to isolate it. And so we got, where are we? This would probably go in about here on these sensors here. So you can plug in quite a lot more. Where are we? But that's a little bit more modern than the other one. So we'll just plug that in there. There we go. I'll read out what all those ones are. So we've got our zones along the front. Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4, and then our 24-hour zones. Power input 18 to 24 volt AC. Output supply 12 volt DC, so that would be for your siren and your strobe. We have a common, partial seal, you got me on that one. Voltage normal, okay, and mains on. Entry warning. So entry warning is that warning when you walk in of a morning and the alarm or the keypad starts to chirp. That's telling you, look, I'm going to go into alarm conditions within a small period if you don't deactivate it. So that's what that is. How that works on this particular one, I'm not sure whether or not it's a separate screamer or a top hat or an internal screamer inside the property. Most likely it would be. Today they generally have a keypad that does the entry warning timer, so if you walk into a property and the alarm's active, the keypad will start to beep. As well, this will probably be hardwired, and it'd probably be some siren right down the back of the shop or somewhere that, you know, is just giving you that notification, just like a little chirping alarm. Day alarm. Okay, so day alarm is a feature that I'm more familiar with on the more modern ones. You could set it to day alarm where basically you're getting a chirping type action. It can also be called a walkthrough function. So it's not actually an alarm condition, it's more like you walk into an area, you set the sensor off and it'll chirp. That's what it's always meant to me, being like for me. Day and night. Don't know that one. And we've got alarm spare, alarm common, and alarm bell. So interesting. These two wires here, these are on speaker, SPKR, speaker. So that would have been connected to something. As far as this thing, don't know what that is. Okay, zone 1 lockout. All these are lockouts. So flicking these little toggle switches goes into lockout. Lockout, I can only assume, is like an isolation, but I would say that's what those switches there do too. Zone 1 day alarm, zone 2 day alarm, zone 5 silent. So zone 5, I think we pretty much picked that up. That was a 24-hour zone. So you would have that on perhaps something like a panic alarm or a fire alarm. As for having it silent, well, yeah, that does make sense. If you wanted to have a silent trigger to activate, to call for problems, you could use that one, and being on 24 hours makes sense there too. So let's say a duress alarm under the counter, that would be that 24-hour zone. And if you didn't want the bells and whistles to go off when the button was pushed, you flick that to silent. Bell output resetting. Okay, so generally bells do go for a period of time, and that's something we haven't gone through here. Maybe that's what this one could be here. Generally for houses, it's about 5 minutes. I think some commercials can go for about 10 minutes, and then anything after that, they've got to kind of turn off, so because of noise pollution. So that's what that could be. Alarm memory enabled. Okay, so a lot of alarm systems as well, when they've gone into trigger on a particular zone, they will display that on the board. So alarm memory, so maybe if this was triggered in zone 1 or zone 2, you would probably see that flashing somehow, like, you know, when you went to reset the panel. So if that's what it is, that's pretty cool, because that's just the earlier version of what we have on our alarm systems now. If you look at a keypad and it's been triggered, it'll show you what zone was triggered. Sometimes you see multiples because it's true, you know, somebody's walked through multiple zones, and then you can say, oh yeah, front door zone 1, you know, lobby zone 2, bedroom zone 3. So you can see that, you know, more than one zone has been triggered. That's a lot of the time how they identify false alarms as well, and on how many zones are actually being triggered. Zone 1 lockout, zone 2. Okay, so we've got lockouts here as well. So conditional lockout and just lockout. So once again, without the manual, I wouldn't really know too much about that. Lockout to me is just like isolating them. Conditional lockout, I don't know. I mean, you do have that delay. You do have that delay when you leave. So if it's conditional lockout, maybe that's something to do with the delay. Maybe. Or maybe that's to do with these switches on the front, being able to isolate them out. Once again, I don't know. This is done in 87. I was riding my bicycle and following Mr. Whippy up the road trying to get an ice cream off him back then. So, before my time. Zone 1 day alarm on, zone 2, zone 5 siren on. So, okay, so zone 5 was that silent one, and over here you can actually select whether or not you want a siren. So that marries up to there. So you push it this way for one function, push it that way for the other function. So you go 5 siren, on or off. So all of these are the same as these. It's just on or off, and their terminology and explanations aren't too bad, but yet you'd still need the manual to install this. Where's our phone number? Yep, before the 9. So yep, that makes sense. And 17 Rowood Road Prospect. I guarantee you they're not there no more. All right, alarm memory disabled. Okay, so enabled, disabled. So basically just toggle switches on and off. A nice aluminum case there. There is room right here for a backup battery as well. If you can see here as well, we do have our tamper switch down there on the side. So if you bust the door open, it's going to go into alarm. You bust it off the wall, it's going to go into alarm. You've got your hole at the back here too, which is quite common. Now we've moved over to the 20mm size holes, so you can get cables in there. That was something that I found the NIDAC panel, same era, did not do. You see the holes? Smaller holes. So this was the kind of the standard type holes you're going to start seeing in panels, everything from this era on, because that allows us just to use 20mm conduit for everything, and that was, you know, what everybody kind of uses, and it's very good. It's cheap, it's good, protects the wires. So obviously that was kind of around the era when this started. All right, so I'm looking under here, and I'm not sure if you can see it. They've put a fuse in here in one of the most awkwardest spots ever. To get this panel off here, we've got little tiny nuts here, like, you know, 3 or 4 mil nuts, no screws from the front, so you actually have to undo it, and to get to this panel. To get to that fuse is a bit ridiculous. See that in there? I don't know why it's mounted up under here. You can do it, but it's not exactly user friendly. But on saying that, none of this circuitry here you need to mess with. So I guess that's why it's been done that way. Another improvement you see on a lot of alarms now is the removable door. So, you know, you put it together, you push it up, and you can remove the whole door. That's another improvement. On the more of the modern alarms too, you're going to see everything mounted on this back panel here. You're not going to see it mounted on the actual door, the lid. Like that's an old school type of technology. Not sure if you can see in there. There's not really a lot to see in there. So that's looking over it. Look, it's an old alarm system. It'd probably be able to get working once again. There's a couple of terminals here. AC in. This one says key. So okay, that's going straight onto the key switch here. So straight onto the board, soldered on. I don't think there's a lot more we can really go over. On this side here, we've got our zones. So that would be that isolating. It's got the nice ribbon cable. Kind of modern for its time to be using a ribbon cable on alarms. So the other one we looked at was, you know, I can only be honest, this Ness, it was, you know, obviously a little bit more advanced than this NIDAC one. If you didn't see that video, it'd be like a day or two. This NIDAC one seems a little bit more old school than this one right here. It really does. Being able to open up the door as well is superior than having to take off screws and take off the main front case. Spin the door open, being able to adjust all these four, yeah, more superior, easier for the user at least. These ones here too, I'm only guessing. We've got VN, MO, CN, S1, S2, S3, S4. So, yeah. And there's our battery, our backup battery, which would be sitting over this side. Alright, so, yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to go sit this on, find a nice spot in the storeroom to go sit this. If anyone's interested in it, let me know. Yeah, pretty much it's not going to go do much except for sit on the shelf and be an antique. You can see the nice brown and cream colour that they got going on there. Yeah, I mean, it's whether it works or not, I don't know. Most likely it would. It came out of a working environment, but it's been sitting there for, you know, what are we talking now? It's 30 years old, 30-year-old technology. Still doable. I mean, a key can be made for the lock. You know, all these parts too. You know, it's so old school that this sort of stuff actually, you know, most of it can be repaired these days compared to a lot of the other stuff you buy. Like I'm sure you'd be able to buy the capacitors, the fuses definitely, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, and we've got some instructions here. Check that green mains and voltage normal indicators are on. Check that zones required for alarms are sealed green seal indicator on. Any zone not required for alarm will be automatically isolated by leaving that zone unsealed before switching to night. Before switching to night, the isolated zone will be automatically armed when the zone is sealed. Okay, so I guess this is how you can unseal a zone, I guess. Switch to night mode, red, night, indicator on. Exit via delayed zone 1 or 2 with 1 minute or by zone 3 or 4 provided they are unsealed. The exit path to arm those zones. Entry via zone 1 then through zone 2 if necessary. Note any zone alarm indicator red that are not on alarm in that zone. Switch to day mode, green day indicator on. To reset zone 5, 24-hour, switch to opposite mode, e.g. day to night, and then back again if required. Okay, well, I hope that was as easy to understand as it was to read. Yeah, leave your comments down below. The Ness Entity System 5 Plus. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to install them now. Much easier these days. You just wire it up, wire all your zones, and you're good to go. That's the next thing too. I never mentioned about the zones. I mentioned the trigger zones. See these right here? These have 2 wires. So that means that you've got your sensors, your trigger wires, your white and blue wires going on this side. But you most likely have a whole bunch of wires coming in this side because you need a positive and a negative for each sensor, unless it's a reed switch. So if you had 4 zones, you would have 8 extra wires over here, 4 red, 4 black, just for that. If it's a reed switch or a tamper switch, like you've got 2 tampers on this box right here, so they would have to be wired up, not as a separate zone, but they would be wired up as a perhaps a 24-hour zone, if you're not using that for something else. And if you are, you might have to use, you know, run that in there. So to run this sensor, as a 24-hour zone, you would need to wire them up into a circuit. So basically, if how do you say, in series. So if any one of those opened up, it'd trigger the same zone, because you've only got, well, technically 5 zones. But yeah, all your triggering wires over here, and all your positives will come over here. So by the time you got all these cables going from left to right like this, it would probably get a little bit messy. So it wouldn't look as nice as this. But yeah, just for reference. Alrighty, thanks for watching.